What is going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the Red Type Politics channel. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new. And today I'm going to be showing off my late September Senate and Governor prediction off of the recent news of Mark Robinson and new data showing to update my map. So, I hope you guys like these videos just because I have been doing quite a bit of CNN election nights lately, and it seems you guys have enjoyed that. So, let's get into it. I'm going to be starting out with the safe Democrat seats and also the safe Republican seats, which are the very simple seats you're going to see here, which I will explain soon. Let me just fill them out really quickly just because there's no need to wait on it. And then we also have for the Republican, very simple, not really any shockers here. So for the Democrats, we have California, Washington, New Mexico, Hawaii, Minnesota, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Vermont, New York, and Maine. For the Republicans, we have Utah, Wyoming, North Dakota, Nebraska, Missouri, Indiana, Tennessee, Mississippi, and West Virginia. So with all those seats, it brings Republicans to 48 seats and Democrats at 42. Let's get started with the likely seats for the Republican Party, which is Texas, Florida, and that's it. I believe that Texas is going to be around a Ted Cruz plus 6.5, 7. I think he's going to do a little bit better than he did in 2018. Nonetheless, still a great performance. In Florida, I think that Rick Scott is going to do around 10 points in the state. He has always been elected by not that much of a margin. He has always been elected by a tilt margin. So it is very interesting to see this race continue to go more Republican each year. So let's go with the Democrat seats and then I'll go into the closest states. You'll probably see one outlier here. But yeah, then we're going to go to the Democrat seat, which is just Virginia. I believe the seat for Tim Kaine is going to be around 7, 8, 9 points for the Democrats. I do not think Republicans are going to do that well in the Senate. Nonetheless, better performance than 2020. So let's move on to the lean seats, which will be Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. You're probably seeing something different. Why do you not have Pennsylvania as likely? Well, it's one very simple thing. The polls have now shown that this race is much closer just because Casey is not, he's not campaigning. He's not campaigning whatsoever, which is hurting him. You're seeing that in the polls come out. Multiple polls have him tied now or within a lean race. So if really McCormick wants to pull this race out, if he keeps doing the same thing, he might win. It's not out of the books that he might, but for right now, I do not believe he's going to. And now we have the closest race, which is Ohio, Arizona, Nevada, and Montana. So let's go start out on the West Coast with these two states. Arizona, I was likely. I do not. I think that Gallego is going to do extremely well, and he's going to overperform and be underestimated in the polls. I think he's going to win around 6.5 to 7 points. Almost the same as Virginia. And then for Nevada, I have that race as lean. I do think that she is going to do a little worse than she has before in her previous election years, but nonetheless, still a great performance for a Democrat in that state that is shifting right. So we have the last two states, Montana and Ohio. Montana, I don't think this is a big surprise. I have this race as likely, which gives Republican Senate control for the next 2 years. I think this race has changed quite a bit. You've probably seen from my August predictions, I had this race as tilting R. What changed? Well, it's very simple. Data. Data showed before in August, and other data showed before, that Tester was doing better than expected. That does not show the case anymore. With data showing out of Rear Clear Politics, the aggregate has up Team Sheehy by 5.5 to 5.2 points. That's not good for an incumbent that should be up in the polls like he has been in 2012 and 2018. He's always been up, and it's always been on point in the polls. So if we're seeing that it's 5.2 and 5.5, it is a likely race for Sheehy, which leads me to believe that it's going to be a likely R seat for Tim Sheehy. Probably the closest race, and I had this race as a pure toss-up before, now I'm ready to predict it. Due to the ActiVote poll that came out that has Bernie Moreno up by 2 against Sherrod Brown, leads me to believe that this race is going to be tilting Republican. I have flip-flopped on this within the past few days. I had this as tilt D before, and I also now had tilt R, and I then went back and forth on this before. This race is going to be extremely close just due to split ticket voting and a lot of other factors going into this race. Incumbency, the president's, like, a lot of these things that go into this race are going to be placed on Ohio. And it just leads me to believe that if Trump does 10 points or 11 points, like I have him in my prediction for the presidential, I do not think that Sherrod Brown is going to pull it out. Yes, he can. This race can go either way. But for right now, this race is tilting Republican. So for the Senate, it is very straightforward. 52 Republican, 48 Democrat. They retain Senate majority. So now let's move on to the governor. This one is going to be very straightforward. This one is probably not going to take a lot of time. Let's go with the safe Democrat seat. And actually, I'll move on to the closest ones. This one is very straightforward. We have Washington, Delaware. And then for Republicans, it is the very simple, these seats right here, which already gives Republicans the overall. So we have the closest two rates. Well, not so close anymore after Mark Robinson stuff, which I will not get into. You've probably seen a lot of the news from Mark Robinson, and it is very disgusting and very interesting. I don't know why he did that. Ruined the race. So I'll start off with New Hampshire. New Hampshire, I have the race as tilting Republican. I do think that Kamala Harris is going to affect that race a slight bit and not help Anna just a little bit, but I think she still holds on. Now, North Carolina. With this data that has come out about Mark Robinson leads me to believe that this race is going to be safety. You're probably thinking, well, he can come back. Yes, that's true. It can go down to a likely. But at this point, due to data, I do not think he's going to hold on whatsoever. I think he has less than a 5% chance of winning. Now, we could see an upset. We can see him do way better in the polls. But right now, he's down by 13, which is my safe margin. I do 13 for safe. At this point, I do not see how he wins. Best case scenario, he gets it down to a lean margin. Maybe even likely. I wouldn't give him that grace. But for right now, I have that race as safe D. That is the first time I've ever put North Carolina Democratic column for that type of margin. Not including the governor. I've had this race as Democrat before. But not by this substantial margin. Which leads it to believe that it's going to be 8 for Republicans and 3 for Democrats. This has turned out very interesting. This is more of my interesting. I will next come out with my presidential and House map updated for probably early October or late September. This has been a very interesting video. It seems you guys have been enjoying my last few videos. Just about how the many views that we've gotten. Sorry, starting a little bit. But yeah, I mean, this is a very interesting map. A lot of great things for both parties. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.